Hi, my name is Yagazie Eguare, the founder and lead creative of Gazmadu Studios. You're welcome to the Creative Conversations Corner. In here, we're having heartfelt, open, relatable conversations with creatives that you admire out there so that you're inspired, you're empowered, and you're educated. And most importantly, that we bring you the light that you need. Today, I'm having a very, very beautiful conversation with someone that I admire so much, someone who is a friend, who is an inspiration, and who has, impacted my journey as a photographer, as a creative for many years. I just want you to listen to this conversation that we're going to have with a very, very open heart. And, don't just hear, don't just listen, don't just be inspired. I want you to have something that you're taking out of this, that you're going to do something with, that you're going to take an action on. And also, please subscribe to this channel. By subscribing, you're encouraging us to bring more and more content like this that is going to inspire you, that's going to educate you, and that's going to, empower you to become a better version of yourself as a creative. So before you go to watch, I want you to click the button below to subscribe, and also share this with everyone that you know. I mean, the best part about learning is when we're learning all together. So someone who's going to be blessed or who's going to be inspired by this video and the conversation we're going to have today, please go ahead and share this video with them. And I hope that indeed this brings you the light that you need. Yay! Yesterday, one of the things I was thinking about, I was like, Mr. Onome said yes. And I just thought to me, like, okay, the season has shifted.
No, sure. Seasons are
It
up.
has,
Not that will shift.
It has shifted.
It has shifted.
It has shifted.
Yes. Things are aligning. They are changing.
Yeah.
So seasons have actually shifted.
Yeah.
I was telling someone that I don't know how to explain it, but there are things you're going to see in the coming days. You will not say, these were the seasons we talked about yesterday. So seasons have actually shifted. I don't know who is saying it, but within it has really shifted.
Yeah. So what is inspiring this particular season? Because I feel like you are showing up in ways that you have not showed up before.
Mm-hmm.
You have been building in sort of silent.
Okay.
But I think things are a bit sort of changing now. So
yeah.
Talk to me about that.
Okay. So part of the things I've been going through in my journey are things that I really want to express. But there's a process to that. It takes process, it takes time. So it doesn't matter how big a tree is. When it's not its season, it will not produce fruits. Yes. So we've entered into another phase where it's now dawned on us that there's a new season that have come, and I can not that I can feel it. It's already heavy. It's already dropping, and I think we're entering. We've entered, and when the signs start showing, I'll now show people that this was what I was talking about. That there are new seasons that have come, and we're already in it, but it's not showing yet, but it will show very soon.
Fantastic. So, thank you so much for joining us on the Creative Conversations.
Thank you, Ma. What a great.
Yes. This is we decided to now go this route with it. Before we'll do it on IG Live, even though we'll still do some virtual. And you're the second person. We had Daya.
Wow. Wow.
Yes. And I think we had this last 2 years ago. And the essence of this is really to stir up conversations that's that are educative, inspiring for creatives generally. and very unstructured, right? And in a way that we flow and people can really relate to it and relate to your story. And obviously, you're somebody that I admire very much, you know, and you're a colleague, then you become a friend, you know, and you know, your journey and everything that you're doing is really, 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 really inspiring. Just before now, you were talking about process, and I want us to talk a bit about that, right? We're in a generation that does not understand process, right? And the creative industry, it's very easy not to understand process because you start doing something, you're like, you know what, you just want to get on and get, you know. But anybody that really knows you will know, like, you know, that journey. Let's talk a bit about process. How did you embrace your own process? Why does it even matter?
Okay, so why process is good is that process gives you that knowledge to be able to replicate the procedure over and over again, and you get the results consistently you want. So once there's no process to a thing, people can just get results out of, will I say, maybe luck or wish they want to get results. But if you want to replicate a particular thing over and over again, you must have a structured process that will help you do that. So that when you know when things are not working, you know what in the process to touch to be able to get things to work. Because part of the things that made me to really narrow down to getting the concept of process is when you look at our society today, you find out that if you want to identify the pathways for success as a young person, you're a young person and you're looking for the pathways for success. I want to get to the top. How do I get to the top? And you look at Nigeria as a case study. You understand that there's literally nothing you can see to show you models. When I mean models, rather the models we have are models that those passing through those processes, you cannot actually guarantee a result. Like when you ask, who are the role models of our society? Just imagine politicians. Yes, politicians. And if you check in the business world today, there are very few who are politicians who are actually succeeding in the business space. So a young person who wants to succeed in this country and all he's saying is politics, how would that person be able to shape his journey and get to the top of his dreams or his vision? So I asked these questions early in my journey that how can one succeed in this kind of environment, in this crude environment? So I discovered that there are processes to it. There are trainings you could do. There are excellent models you could follow to be able to achieve that. So in my journey, I've seen that one of the most important things that I've always taken keenly is understanding process. I like to know what is the rationale, what is making this thing to work, so that once I get it, I go back, implement it. Even if I don't get it right, I'll tweak it again until it becomes better. So that's why process have become one of the things I've always followed in my journey.
So that means it requires a lot of patience.
That's just the secret to the mystery of seasons. Yes. You cannot just wish a season to happen and it happens. You must deliberately cultivate everything that is involved to make that season happen. It's just like a farmer who wish that he would do an harvest, but yet he did not plant. So what will he harvest at the end of the day? So that is part of the reason why.
Wow. I imagine someone will be thinking that do I really have to? I mean, I just started my journey, maybe as a photographer, as a creative, and I really want this thing to move quickly, right? I want to blow. I want to, God, I beg, I need to start shooting like this person. I need to start earning like this. Like, they are seeing something that someone else is doing. Maybe it could be even you, and they're like, how do I just get it? And I think sometimes that pressure of getting things too fast, right, leads to a lot of people either being depressed or a lot of creators just being discouraged. Can you speak to maybe that person that is in that place where they're thinking, I want to
Okay, so
sharp.
yeah, so I think in our world today, we have so many hypocrites. I'm sorry to say, when I mean hypocrites, a lot of people see so many on social media, and they see what is happening in front. They don't know what is happening backstage yet. So there's this principle I saw of the iceberg. When you see an iceberg on top of a river, what is underneath it, the magnitude of ice underneath it is twice as much as what you see on top of the river. Yeah, so you find out that in our world today, a lot of people tend to live fake life. And these are some of the models which I'm trying to refer to, that what is the model for success? So many people's goal are tied towards just making money. And beyond just making money, money is a means of exchange of value, as we used to say. Now, people just want to blow. What is the reason for your blowing? What will you use the blow? When you blow, what will you use it for? What is driving that form of blowing you want to blow? All of a sudden, you just want to become somebody overnight. The truth is this: I've seen models and I've always looked at it and say, okay, this is a principle, this is a template, and this is something we can follow as a guide. So you just permit me, I'll use some biblical illustrations. I like to, because that's where I draw most of my insights from.
Right.
When the master wanted to travel, he called his talent and he gave them five each. Now he put them through a process and said, go and trade with your talent. So he left and came back. So there was a process to multiplication. Yeah, so part of the key to multiplying was faithfulness. Yeah, so a lot of people take out these things out, and they just want to multiply. But without being faithful, you cannot multiply consistently. You cannot multiply consistently. So when the master came back, he saw their faithfulness and he asked them the question, what have you done with what I gave to you? Imagine when the master comes back and asks some people, and some people just say, I just wanted to blow. I just wanted to blow. That was all. No. But the other one said that what you gave to me, I've doubled it. And that qualified him for more. The master now doubled it again. So, because if you can't carry one, how will you carry five? So there's always a systematic process to climbing up the ladder. You can't just jump from one and jump to the top of the ladder. You fall down. So most people don't want to go through those processes, because those processes actually build a lot of things. They build character, they build competence. Because the truth is this: every business have gates that it will contend with.
Wow.
Yes, because even in the Bible, Jesus said that I will build my church and the gates. So the truth is that there are gates. So there are gates. And when you start building, you will confront these gates. And when these gates starts confronting you, if you are not equipped enough through this process of training to be able to handle those gates, they will prevail against you.
Wow.
Yes. So that is why this I want to blow syndromes they always come down, because they are like a people who built their house without foundation. So when the wind will come and everything, it will just blow the house down, and their fall is always great. Yes, that's the truth. So
true.
going through processes are criteria for consistent growth, consistent multiplication of results over and over again.
Wow, so good, so good. I'm having goosebumps. So, Mama, let's talk a bit about your story. I mean, I've known you for how many years now? I think I met you in 2000 and
I think 2013
or
13 or 14, thereabout.
Yes, yes. I think it's 13. Yes. So that means it's been 11 years.
Yes.
From Abakaliki,
Yeah,
Ebonyi State. Yes.
We met in Anambra.
Yes, we met in Anambra. I remember that clearly from my friends were in Germany. From the points that we have met, I have really watched your journey, right? And it's been just beautiful and really, really inspiring. And one of the things I really want us to talk about is the aspect of pivoting, right? When it comes to professional, business, career, and all of that. And the courage that is needed to do that. There's a sense that when you start doing something, you feel like this is all there is, right? I just want to, keep moving in this. And there's a way to also start something and you just keep the possibilities open, right? So the question is, when you started photography, because you started photography, you built a studio, and then you went into equipment, and then, things have just transitioned from there. Did you know that this is how things are going to move for you?
So let me say, what is happening now, I can say I don't know this is how things are going. The only thing I know is that I believe in God's word. Yeah, so whatever God's word says about me, I believe it. So if he says, I've given you a hope and a future, I believe it. So I've always believed what he says. But the truth is this: we are interacting with our realities. What God has said, our reality is not looking like it. So, for me as a person, I thank God I found God early. That's one thing that helped me. I thank God I found God early in my journey, and I thank God for mentors all the way. So in the whole of the processes, I did not see it like coming like, I did not even know I was going to be a photographer. I did not. But one thing that helped me was actually understanding and seeing some of the patterns that God has laid down, and hearing from God a bit to be able to know, okay, what is this God is saying at this moment to do? And when he inspires and say, do this, I do it. And I'll tell every young person, for you to be able to live the kind of life you want to live in God, or you want to fulfill your purpose, your calling, you need to eat something. Yes, you need to eat. When I mean you need to eat something, you need to hear. You need to be mentored. And I've discovered these days that a lot of us are not mentored physically. Yeah, you understand what I mean when I say mentored physically. So there's a verse in the Bible that talks about the harvest is truly plenteous, but the laborers are few. So God does not have any problem with people's harvest at all. The problem he has issue with is the laborers. And before that verse, he said something. He said he saw the multitudes as sheep without shepherds. Yeah, so they were just wandering. And if you look at, most times there are three things the shepherd does for a sheep. One, the shepherd knows where the river is. So he ushers the sheep to where the river is. The shepherd also knows the way to get to where the river is. Then the third one is that the shepherd also knows how to drive away the predators that will come after the sheep. So this is what mentoring do for us. So what mentoring does is that it increases our hearing capacity to be able to build faith, courage, to say things that be not as though they were. Because I've noticed that a lot of people now, when you tell them things that you become this, they tend to even call themselves as though they are not. Yes, but when God says something, what we just have to do as people, in fact, I'm learning it now, that, okay, now look at where God has brought us to by privilege. What if I was saying it 20 years ago that this is where I will be, this is where I will be, this is where I will be? Now the realities are here. So some of the things I did not even say, I'm experiencing them now. So how powerful it is for you to keep declaring those things, because you're calling those things that are not as though they were. So in my journey, I had to devote time to learning. I had to devote time to be mentored so that I'll be able to inspire my faith beyond the fears of the realities that I have befalling me. So those were the things that really helped me in defining my path. I didn't know I was going to be. What I knew was that there was a passion for business. But what is the business I'm going to do? I did not know. So through mentorship, through development, through building a walk with God, I was able to hear that this is the path to follow.
Wow. You've said so many things. Mentorship, and even going into mentorship, that increases your hearing capacity. And like you said, you didn't know how it was going to happen. You just knew that you were interested in business, but you didn't know the direction. And I know that, or maybe I think that a lot of people, especially when you come out from, let's say, university or you're young creative, it can get really confusing where you're just like, you know what, there's somewhere that I want to go to, right? And then maybe you're doing something that doesn't really look like the somewhere that you want to go to. So sometimes it feels like, am I really in the right path? Should I be placing myself exactly where I want to go to? Or do I follow the process of what does not look like it? Well, I don't know whether you get what I'm saying, because I mean, I've had this conversation with someone who said, oh, this is what I desire. This is what I want to, this is what I see. But where I am right now is not like it's aligned, and I feel like I'm not in the right place. I feel like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, right?
So my answer to that is this: there are always models to answer most of these questions that young people have. I think the problem for a lot of us young persons is we always want the picture of the now, the reality of the now we are seeing, to just immediately match the future immediately without processes.
Yes.
And it doesn't work that way. And I like to use another biblical illustration. The Bible says that the natural man cannot receive the things of the Spirit. He said, because they are foolishness unto him, neither can he know them. He said, these things are spiritually discerned. Now, there's no industry today. There's no industry today in this country where you don't have industry leaders. Yes, there are industry leaders. Some of them have been in that industry for 30 years, for 20 years. And your vision is to go and displace them from where they are gates. They are the gates of those places. You want to displace them and take over. It doesn't just work that way. So why did I bring that analogy at the beginning? Sometimes when God wants to get you to the palace, he'll pass you through the bush, because it doesn't make sense to the gates. That how can somebody that wants to approach my gate be coming from the bush? Yes. So sometimes when you are starting from an irrelevant point, it's for you to be able to gather enough data, enough capacity. Imagine David, right, when he had not gone to the bush and is going to take on Goliath, he would have been brought down.
True.
Yes, he would have been, but he had to go to the bush because in the wisdom of God, there's an energy that God has positioned in the bush to help him develop that process to be able to take on Goliath. Sometimes the bush experience for every young person is a pathway to that future you want to go to. But most times, most people want to just jump into that future and they confront gates. And because those gates are bigger than them, they prevail against them. So what I encourage people to do is that one thing is, if you have a vision, don't despise what you start. Just start from somewhere. What you're building is that you're building capacity, you're building enough data, you're building character to be able to withstand the days that are ahead. Because with that, you'll be able to understand that, okay, this is what I can do. This is what I can do. He that is faithful in least is, he did not say will be faithful in much. He said the person is the faithful. So that little point you're starting from, you're actually building capacity that is already faithful to take on much in the future. So what a lot of people look at is that they look at, oh, where I am now, I don't have the capacity, I cannot do this, I don't have the fund, I don't have this. No. That should not discourage you. Wherever you are serving, serve with your heart, serve dedicatedly. I usually use the average Igbo young person. You see a young Igbo boy who did not go to school. He did not have any formal education. But he sits under a master.
Yes.
The master will mentor him, tutor him. And he will not even have deep pockets more than those that went to school. So there's a missing link.
Wow.
Yet for the person who says that I have this, must I start from? You must not start from there. Because sometimes when you also start from where you are and you are not getting results, you add that to your CV as I've tried this before and it did not work. So it can never work again. That's the kind of mentality you now put to it. But when you start from the little ones and you start breaking the bank of one, breaking the bank of two, you're getting up, you're growing up, you're growing. So there's a way I've come to understand that money works. There are dimensions in which it comes in. If somebody who is consistent with the works of his hands, he grows the capacity to 10,000. He will stay on that 10,000 for a while. Yeah. Then faithfulness, through characters, through skills, through development, he increases to 50,000. You see, he will become at that level for a particular time. Then he doesn't just jump once. No. All of a sudden, you will notice that he has increased his capacity to 50,000, 100,000, before you know, 1 million. So that's the way it works. As at that time, you're actually building roots. You're stretching roots on the ground, which would carry the structures of where you are going, where you want to be, the pictures of what you want to be tomorrow. So don't allow where you are now discourage you from where you are going to. I see a lot of people, they will just say, I want to be this, I want to be that. It's not all about convention. It's not all about convention. It's about taking deliberate steps, developing yourself, getting mentors. And one of the things that we always say, mentors are important on this journey. Mentors are seriously important on this journey.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, you talked about mentors. I've almost said, okay, let's not go there, but I think we need to go there, yeah. Right? Because I already hear someone, you know, listening to you and saying mentors, right? How would you say younger creatives, so just creatives generally, should approach mentorship? Because again, sometimes we get it confusing. Sometimes we feel like, oh, I have to be very close to this person. Sometimes, is there a one way to, oh, this person is my mentor? Or are there other ways to approach this?
Okay, yeah. So one way I would encourage every young person to go about mentorship is, let me use myself as an example. So when you talk about business, there's this passion that normally wells in me, even when in the school. And even my colleagues saw the passion. The passion was so strong that they will be calling me a business nurse. I'm reading nursing, no background about business.
Yes.
But the only knowledge I had was my mother was doing some pastries, so I used to help her to go to the market sometimes to sell and help her buy things. That was the only knowledge about business I had. So now I'm going into a formal space. My passions are welling about business. But how do I start? How do I start this business thing? So this is when mentor comes in. So one day I happened to go to a bookshop to buy a book, to read. So when I got to the bookshop, I saw a man wearing an army uniform. The man was putting on an army uniform. It was a Christian bookshop. So they now wrote, I saw on the book, Sam Adeyemi. In Abakaliki, this was in Abakaliki in Ebonyi State. So they wrote Sam Adeyemi on the book, and he was wearing an army uniform. In my mind, I was now saying, how can a pastor put on an army uniform? He's supposed to wear a priestly robe or something. The title of the book was Second Revolution. So I opened the book. I read the back cover of the book, and I read the first page. Something struck me about mindset, because that book was all on mindset and revolution. So when I saw the book, I read the book, and that book, I finished the book, and I had to go back to the book again, read the book again. So something struck me. What struck me was that this man was saying things that was aligning with the passions of my heart.
Wow.
Yes. So it was like it was stretching things out of me, bringing them one out of the order. So it was like bringing out the capacity, the potentials that are in you, and cleaning them and saying, young man, run. You're a businessman, run. So when I saw that, I now saw that he was, as at that particular time, he was doing a series on entrepreneurship, how to run a business. So I ordered his tapes. All the tapes then, I ordered them and sit down and listen to them, how to run a business. And the insight he was showing was nothing I've come across in any formal education.
Wow.
I've not seen that. So when he began to say some of the things he was saying, I was like, this man is not a pastor. He's a coach. He's a mentor. I've not had the privilege of meeting him one-on-one, but I've had the privilege of sitting down under his teaching consistently. And through his teaching, he was able to show us that just beyond what you studied in the university should not define what your limits should be, should not set the boundaries for you. Because I see a lot of young people who say today now that I don't have a job because there are no jobs out there. I don't have this because there are no this out there. So it should not define who you are. And the standards of our education have fallen so low that the young person comes out and even becomes more confused.
True.
Because what is being taught in our schools today are not relevant to the basic needs of society. So a lot of young people need models, role models, who can shape their mindset, their mentality, and also help them gain mastery of skills that will prepare them for growth. The aspect of mentoring is key, and is still key today to my growth in this journey. Because what a mentor does for you is like you're traveling on a journey that should take you 100 years. A mentor can break that journey into 1 year.
Wow.
Yes, a mentor can give you principles, can give you models, can give you insight, can give you knowledge that would make that journey, what you should have accomplished in 50 years of your life, You're actually setting a pace and you're doing it under 5 years of your life. Yes. So that is what mentoring does. Because I can tell you today in this country, there are no formal models for growth process for the average young person. So when the average young person comes out, he finds himself in the States where he entered into that institution.
Absolutely.
So we just have to encourage young people to see that getting mentors who will inspire you in the areas of your passions. In the areas of your passion. What passion does is that it gives you staying power where others who are not passionate would naturally leave.
Absolutely.
But you want to stay there and develop yourself. There are things I've done related to passion that sometimes when I think about them, you understand that how well, because of passion, I had to defer service.
Wow.
Because I just came out from school. I was starting this business of photography. I needed to grow it. Now you're asking me to go for NYC. And in that NYC, I will lose time. I'll lose something. So I had to defer it so that I'll be able to develop myself, build the business structures in place. Because I knew that this is what I wanted to do. So there was no gainsaying about it. Is it not funny now that even I now hear mothers saying, this my pikin go play football because of the kind of money that they are paying footballers. So those skills that were despised those days, they are now becoming more relevant.
Absolutely.
In our today's world. So mentors are instrumental to growth. It's so unfortunate that in this part of the world, for a young person to be able to identify a mentor, he needs to do a kind of search on his own, and which is not supposed to be so. I was reading the book of Ben Carson, and Ben Carson, in chapters of his book, he was paying tribute to mentors. Yes, he was paying tribute to mentors. These were the people that mentored him along the way. And sometimes mentors don't have to also be people from outside. They can also be people from within. Some people, their mothers are their mentors. Yes, their mothers are their mentors. So it doesn't just have to be people from outside. People from within too can be your mentor. They can play a lot of role to shaping your direction and where you are going to as a young person.
Wow, so good, so good. Thank you so much, Mr. Norman. Wow. So finally, I want us to, through CAMERAjOINT, and CAMERAjOINT has been doing a lot for the creative industry. And I know this is the beginning because, one of the things that I like about CAMERAjOINT is that it's beyond just selling equipment. You guys are so passionate about actually solving problems. So whether the problem is, and I know I was talking to you about equipment the other day, and it wasn't just about, oh, do you have this? It was like, why are people not thinking about our market? And I need these people to think about our market. So, and through your work, you've interacted with a lot of creatives. You interacted with a lot of photographers, videographers, creatives generally, right? What would you say are some of those missing principles that you think that if most of us work on this, is going to really define how far we can go in the industry?
Let me say this. Most photographers have not realized that they are on a transition journey. Yes, they are actually on a transition journey. So a lot of them come in as photographers and just get stuck there.
Wow.
Yes, we are actually on a transition journey, because I used to ask myself this question: in 20 years, in 30 years time, will I still be running like this? Even if I have the energy to run, will I be able to run as the average young person below 30 years of my age as I then? So these are some of the questions I ask myself. So for some photographers, photography is actually a pathway to another journey. But many are not seeing it that way. And this photography can be so deceiving at times that you just get block money once and you look at it as it will continue. And sometimes some season just comes where there's nothing coming in. nothing coming in,
Yes.
and stuff like that. And you now wonder, what is happening? What is happening? What is happening? Why are things not? So one of the missing link is photographers, you see that they are on a journey of transitioning. They are on a journey of transition into better processes, into adding better value to the value chain of this community, or into even migrating into other spaces, other new spaces. And I'm going to talk about spaces. In this photography, there are so many spaces to play.
Wow.
So many, just within the photography space. Yes, there are so many spaces to play, and there are so many things that people are not looking at, and they are within this same space we're playing in today, and they are not looking at it. So many people are just comfortable with where they are, what they are receiving. And the truth is that the young ones coming, they are not going to stay where they are. They are going to develop themselves. They are going to, new names will still come out in the industry. So what I think photographers should think of is transitioning. One, we should transition. Then two, we should find new spaces and innovate them.
So good.
Yes, finding new spaces and innovating them, or your current one, innovate the processes. What you are doing now, innovate the processes. You must not be the man behind the camera always. No, you must not be the man behind the camera. What are new things within the spaces? And there's always provision for every era.
Absolutely.
Yes, there's always provision for every era, because once there's a vision, there's always provision for that vision for every era. So let's look at new spaces and innovate them. And one of the challenges most people have is it's difficult for, the Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go. So it's difficult to train an adult.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Most people find it difficult to calm down and actually engage themselves in some process that will restart another process. Yes, ego. I'm telling you. So what does it profit you if ego destroys a potential billionaire industry you would have entered into, just because you refuse, you see that it's a business for the commoners? So most people, most photographers, they don't, when they see new spaces, they despise it. They despise it. They just look at it. Can anything good come out of this space? And they just leave it. So what I think is, and that is where also the God factor comes in, because there are things that if God opens one's eyes to see them, when you see them, you know that new seasons have arrived. Yes, you know that new season. So it doesn't matter what people are saying on the outside, you know that new season have arrived. Because, okay, imagine, when we were about to graduate from school, my colleagues some of them were asking me, what do I want to do? I now said, I want to go into photography. Some of them mocked me actually, like, how? So, but I saw the parable of the mustard seed, which is the smallest of all the seed. But when it is sown, it grows up and becomes a great herb. So I saw those parables and they welled up faith in my heart and passion to be able to push in this direction. It was just one day I walked into a studio like this and I saw pictures. They were beautiful. And because I was in that season of asking for what to do, the Holy Spirit just impressed it on my heart that this is what you should do. And so many photographers are still looking at their breakthrough from the top, while the breakthrough is actually going back to begin. It's just like you just press the reset button on your system and it becomes anew. So we need to work new processes because things are changing.
Yes.
Let me tell you, if most people don't know, COVID was actually a reset button on the process of the world. So it's just like they just press the reset button and ask everybody, both existing and new business, start. So we're witnessing new businesses achieve growth potentials that have not been recorded in history.
Yes.
Some corporate organization within 2 years are now becoming global brands. It has never happened anywhere. In fact, they are now setting pace for other previous existing business who have stayed in the industry for more than 30, 50 years, who have stayed in the industry. They are now setting pace for them to come and do models of products that these new companies are doing.
Absolutely.
So sometimes we need to look and press the reset button on our journey and ask ourselves some serious questions. If I continue like this, what are the results I'm going to get?
Wow.
What are the things I'm going to achieve? So we need to innovate some of our current processes or find new spaces, develop ourselves in those spaces.
Wow. My God. Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank you, ma'am.
This has been really, really mind-blowing, right? And, you know, really inspiring and mind-blowing, because I think that you have uncovered and sort of liberated quite a number of people, you know, from this conversation. And I know that I have been personally inspired, and, you know, just hearing you speak is already just sparking just a whole lot in my mind. And thank you.
Thank
you for making the time to come to be here. Thank you for opening your heart to share and just sharing everything. So I'll just want you to just leave just last words, you know, based on everything that you have said. If someone is listening to this and say, if you don't get anything, I want you to get this one thing or to get these two things. And yeah.
So I would like to say to those who are about to begin a journey of a pathway of success, I would like to say to you that whatsoever rung of the ladder you find yourself today, don't give up. Don't look at where you are as a disability. No, don't do that. You actually, what you have ahead of you is bigger than what you can see currently. The truth is that you just have to deliberately make a decision. Make a decision that I want to succeed, and I want to genuinely succeed, and begin to develop yourself within this process. I also want to say to a lot of young people too, don't think because you have a formal degree, it can now replace deliveries. No, it doesn't. You have to deliberately tell yourself that I must develop myself and embark on a journey of success. When you deliberately do that, the forces that are in the cosmos will come and pull resources towards your direction. Most of the steps you will take in life, most of the things that you think you cannot do for yourself, they are already positioned, available, and waiting for you to say, take that decision and say, I want to be this, I want to be that, and continue to move. The man who has failed and people know about is because he did not continue moving. Yet, when he fell, he stayed there and others saw him there. But the people you are seeing that are moving, because you have not seen their failure, does not mean that they have not failed. They have actually failed several times, but they kept on moving. So I would say move today.
So good, so good. So thank you guys so much. And you know, one of the things that is so important to me as far as the Creative Conversation series is concerned is just stirring up conversations that are beyond skills, they are beyond the technical, that really these are the things that actually make the successful people. Because again, some of the things that we see on the front end is not really what is driving, you know, how far a person can go. And I hope that, you know, through this conversation that we've had today with Mr. Onome, the CEO and founder of CAMERAjOINT, you have been inspired, you have been empowered, you have learned something, but beyond learning and being inspired, you are able to take lessons from this and you're able to do something with it. Thank you.